Hello, Laughing Griffins. This is Tony from Laughing Griffin Gaming. This is my review and gameplay of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. This is the Xbox One version. I'm fairly certain that the PlayStation 4 version is pretty much exactly the same, but this is my review for Xbox One version. This game is made by Infinity Ward, and it actually doesn't suck, which is good. There is a huge improvement in that this time around the Call of Duty game, they brought back the campaign, the one-player campaign version, and it's pretty good. I'm actually going to show any of the actual footage from this, so there's no spoiler alerts for anybody that just wants to be able to complete it. I thought it was pretty decent. There are still the same Call of Duty problems where there are either objectives or things that you're supposed to do that aren't clear, and it's quite frustrating of what am I supposed to do next, where am I supposed to go, what is the target exactly, but for the most part, they do a pretty good linear gameplay job throughout. It spans not necessarily the globe, mostly Europe and the Middle East. And next, I'm going over to co-op mode, show you a little bit of that. This was a mode that was, frankly, a little bit of a disappointment for me. Don't get me wrong, everything's done correctly and what you're supposed to do and how it's supposed to play out. The problem that I found was that other players don't actually cooperate too much. So when you get into a lobby and you have a bunch of players, they'll either drop out, or while they're playing, they don't actually play to the objective, or they don't actually stick together so that you can revive each other if you get downed, or they go off and do things really foolish when, they'll go charging off, directly into fire and stuff and get killed. And so it's really a tough thing unless you actually have a group of very solid friends that you know of to play online with, because trying to get put together with other players online, it's very disappointing. I've yet to even beat any of the co-op modes, and I've pretty much given up on it. And here I'm just showing some of the items that can be used, the kill streaks that can be obtained in co-op mode, as well as there's different roles that each player can take. What I find the most beneficial to be the medic, because you can basically revive downed teammates from a distance, which I find to be the most useful inside the whole mode. But there's other ones as well. I've given up on co-op mode. It's just too frustrating trying to find somebody that's decent to play with. Let's head over to where the game really shines, which is the multiplayer mode. This is basically where I spend, and you're probably going to spend most of your time. They have a variety of different game modes on here. Of course, the usual team deathmatch, free-for-all. Of course, my favorite, which of course is domination. It's pretty much the best thing. Also, it seems like every week or 2 weeks or so, they have a specific bonus one that they'll have up, like a gun game version, as well as they'll either have they usually have the small maps that'll be up. There's 2 small maps in this game, and they're the most fun. Basically, I'll spend most of my time on there, and the rest of the footage that I'll have for gameplay is actually on that small map. So there's also a game mode in here I really feel I need to warn people about, and this is a version that is on a large map scale. It's a domination 10 versus 10 right there. Yeah, it's really large maps. And you might think, oh, this is really good. It's going to be like a really simulation of really good first-person shooting, large map. And no, it's actually quite terrible. Basically, you run around forever trying to get to an objective, and then you just get sniped by somebody that's camping. Pretty much the entire time. It's really frustrating and terrible. So I've chosen not to really even play that version, that game mode anymore. And here I do a little preview of the guns in the game. The guns in the game are based on reality. It's not like some of the more recent Call of Duty games, which had a bunch of ray guns and guns that didn't make any sense or just weren't based in reality. All these guns are pretty much real and used in real combat for armies across the world. So there is some level of customization in this game, but not as much as has been in previous ones. But what is nice is that you get a fairly large choice on the different items you can attach to it. And the guns actually level up quite a bit, and that's how you get the different attachments. So even though you might not level up all that high in terms of your player, all the guns have to be leveled up quite a lot. So there's some replay value in the sense that all these guns have to be, if you really want to max out the potential for each weapon, you actually have to use the weapon quite a lot and level it up. You also get a certain number of loadouts, and on those loadouts you can also choose different perks or skills depending on your play style. I find that I tend to use only a handful of these and just keep using them. I don't always find all of them to be particularly useful, but basically they're a way to get around some of the problems that you might encounter in some of the games. Like if you have somebody that's constantly camping, or if you're just getting destroyed by kill streaks all the time, these perks can help with that. So next, let's get to kill streaks. Kill streak is essentially a bonus item or particular attack that is produced for you after you've accomplished so many points and or kills, depending on your loadout. And some of them are really helpful and some of them not so much. I find that the UAV is actually the most helpful because it points out other players on the map, making them easier to find and easier to not get shot at. There are some rather impressive ones that seem like they're invincible, but they're actually very hard to get, and as a result, many other players don't seem to use them quite as much. Also, it doesn't seem like the really, really good ones come up very often, at least in the games that I've played. Unlike, let's say, dogs and some of the previous Call of Duties that really got annoying. It's actually, there are no dogs in this game, which, I don't know, I'm kind of sad. I miss the dogs. But instead, we've got attack helicopters and various planes and bombs and all sorts of different ways to kill your fellow men. Well, virtual fellow men, I guess. Oh, and ladies too, because they actually have soldiers that are part of the Call of Duty warfare, modern warfare group. So there's some what we would call skins for your player that are basically all female. So yeah, the ladies also get to kill people now too. Great. So talking about the different players, here are some of them, and you'll see some combination of ladies and men both in this game. So yeah, very inclusive first-person shooting murder. Good for you, Infinity Ward. One of the things that I find somewhat strange in this game is you've got these various teams, right? My problem is I can't ever seem to remember who's on what team, so I end up actually trying to shoot at people that are on my own team, or I forget that the people on the other side are not part of mine. It's not like they have like team colors or anything. Everybody is kind of, you have to know that each group is on which side. And it actually didn't make things very easy at first because I couldn't tell who was on whose side until you get used to it and you start to memorize what the other character skins actually are. And of course, in this game, there is lots of different gamer cards and things to customize your name when you're in the lobbies, which doesn't really serve much purpose, as well as the different skins of the players that you could have, which also does not enhance your ability to play whatsoever. And anyways, I'm going to finish up with some gameplay. This is a team deathmatch on Shipment, and Shipment, of course, is, I feel, the best map because it's nice and small, and it's plays essentially the same way as shipments on the other Call of Duty, so I'm already used to it and already used to the map. So yeah, all sorts of fun murder and, well, some strategy to go into that murder as well. Oh yeah, so that guy with the stupid little shields. Yeah, those ballistic shields are back again. I don't know if I like them, and I still don't like them. And pretty much murder and mayhem. First-person shooting, pretty standard stuff. See me putting up some kill streaks nades everywhere. Yeah, this is definitely the best mode. Lots of action. Not so much action in the other game mode because it takes forever to find anybody sometimes on the larger maps, which I really like. But that's just the way I play. This way it's kind of like who can draw first and who's using better strategy. Doing things, I just feel like it's doing a better job with a small map. So I tend not to try to play on the larger maps. Anyways, let's give a rating to this game. I do think that they did a really decent job with this, and if you're going to pick up a game on the Xbox One for the Call of Duty line, this is definitely the one to get. The other ones are not nearly as good. All the wall jumping and sci-fi theme that goes with it, not nearly as good as very solid mechanics, very solid physics for the most part that this game presents with. It doesn't seem like there's tons of crazy cheating that could happen. I didn't encounter any people that had rewrote code and cheated at the game at all that you could get in some of the earlier versions of Call of Duty on some of the other game platforms. And oh yeah, here's a Show Street. Nice. You're doing this, but anyways, I use the 1 through 10 score from Game Informer, and they gave this game I actually looked it up. They gave it an 8.25, and I actually kind of like that score. It's not perfect because there are some problems that I find with it in terms of some of the game modes that I just couldn't get over, that I talked about earlier. And but everything else very solid, very fun game to play. Will warn you, it does get kind of addictive because it does have that kind of like, oh, that small, short little progression. Like, oh, if I can just get that next item to put onto my gun through leveling up, or let me get one more day's worth of points challenge or something. So a lot to do though, is fun. So 8.25, I agree with it. And yeah, hopefully you'll be as victorious in your gameplay as you saw here. By all means, please like, subscribe, comment, go to my site to see more, and hope to see you all again real soon. Thanks, bye-bye.